Hi there, this is Victoria from crushcrypto.com. Thanks a lot for tuning in today. In this video, I'll be talking about Ambrosus and their upcoming ICO on September 13th. With a hard cap of $105 million, their market cap could reach $260 million, making them one of the biggest ICOs of the year. There's a lot of hype around Ambrosus at the moment because one of their advisors is Gavin Wood, the co-founder and the ex-CTO of Ethereum. Several news outlets have also mentioned Ambrosus is supported or recognized by the United Nations. I'll share my thoughts on this later. A quick disclaimer before I start, we do not receive payments for any of our reviews. This is just our personal opinion and analysis and not investment advice. Let's take a look at what Ambrosus is. Ambrosus is trying to develop a blockchain-based ecosystem for supply chains. Basically, they want to combine sensors, blockchain technology, and smart contracts to assure the origin, quality, compliance, and proper handling of products. Their focus is to improve supply chains for life-essential products like food and medicine. Some sample use cases they talk about include food origins and tracing, logistic sustainable improvement. For example, you could have temperature sensors that make measurements at the container level. An alarm would go off if the temperature gets too hot or cold. Another use case is food delivery without a middleman, where customers can pay the delivery person directly. Let me show you a diagram to illustrate how data would flow through the Ambrosus supply chain solution. First, we have a measuring device that may track things like temperature, which is important if you're transporting foods that need to be maintained in cold storage, like meat and fruits. The data is encrypted, signed, and transmitted to a communication device over something like RFID. The data is then sent to distributed storage, which has a history of all measurements. It is also sent to their blockchain. The data then goes to the end-user interface, such as a website or a mobile app. They would then be able to trace the data all the way back to the origin. This could be useful if the user wanted to check for any anomalies in their product. Let me quickly run you through a sample use case so you have a better idea of what they're trying to do. This is a screenshot of a wholesale marketplace for food. This is a demo that Ambrosus currently has up on their website, so you're welcome to go check it out yourself. Here, you can see they've got different kinds of fish available for purchase. For example, here you've got some tuna, and you can see the seller's Ether address. So let's say you're interested in buying some tuna. Once you click on it, you can see additional info like the quality of the fish. You can also trace its flow all the way back to its origin, in this case, Norway. When you click Buy, it will take you through Parity where you can pay with Ether. A company that sells fish might want to use Ambrosus and sell on this marketplace because it gives their product that extra stamp of approval. Another sample use case I want to go over is baby food. End consumers could potentially use their phone to scan something like a jar of baby food. The app then shows them the checks that are done throughout the entire supply chain for that jar of baby food, such as when it arrived at the factory, storage conditions, and so on. And they can click on each item to see the details like the storage temperature and even which fridge it was stored in. Ambrosus is still in working process, so let me just quickly go over their development roadmap. They plan to release their proof of concept starting this month through the end of the year. In 2018, they will launch a public beta for their marketplace, exchange platform, and product checker software. In 2019, the first generation of their nanosensors and biosensors will be launched, and in 2020, they plan to release their fully automated supply chain solution. Ambrosus will be launching their ICO on September 13th, and they have set a hard cap of 100 million Swiss francs, which is around 105 million US dollars. This implies a total market cap of $260 million US dollars if the hard cap is reached. We don't know the total token supply yet, as the conversion is at 1 Ether for 1,000 Amber tokens. This chart shows how the tokens will be allocated, and this chart shows how the proceeds will be used. For more information on their ICO, please visit their official website. The team is currently comprised of 8 core members. They have a lot of experience in the areas of sensor technology, data encryption, supply chains, blockchain, and so on. The project is also backed by well-known advisors like Gavin Wood, the co-founder and ex-CTO of Ethereum. They are also backed by the co-founder of Parity and Grid Singularity, the professor of food physics at the University of Leeds, and so on. So let's talk about the opportunities here. First of all, we believe they are trying to solve a genuine problem with some of today's supply chains. By working to ensure the quality and the integrity of products along the entire supply chain, they may be able to help reduce contamination, foodborne illnesses, counterfeit goods, and so on. The project has a pretty strong team and they're backed by very well-known advisors. This legitimizes the project even if it's still in its early stages. The pre-sale has raised around 30 million Swiss francs already, which indicates to us that there's pretty good market demand for their tokens at the moment. And new or more stringent regulations on the distribution of goods like medicinal products could increase demand for supply chain quality assurance. When I was originally drafting up this presentation, I was going to put down that they are a partner with the United Nations 10-Year Sustainable Foods Program as an opportunity because it sounded pretty impressive to me. But then I checked out the program's website and found out it's actually open to all organizations that are interested in supporting their program. So it's not as exclusive or as impressive as I had earlier thought. So I'm going to spend a bit more time now discussing our concerns. Ambrosus is raising a lot more money than most other ICOs, and as I mentioned before, they could have a valuation of $260 million. For those of you who are looking at this ICO, you'll need to decide for yourself if you think they're worth this valuation because it's going to have an impact on your returns. So one of our key concerns here is competition. Food and drug sensor and tracking is already available in today's market, and there are several companies doing it already. Ambrosus faces competition from companies in the traditional space, including GlobeRanger and OCSoft, which has been around for quite some time. They also face competitors in the blockchain space like Modem, which in our view is quite similar to Ambrosus. Its competitors have already secured customers, including some of the world's largest food and drug companies, such as Novartis, GSK, Merck, Nestle, and so on. But there's a major difference in valuation. If Ambrosus hits their hard cap, their market value will be $260 million, even without a working product. In comparison, OCSoft has been around for 20 years, serving some of the biggest food and drug companies, and they have a market cap of just $22 million. And Modem, which is currently doing its token sale, has a market cap of just $30 million, even if it reaches its hard cap. The Ambrosus team mentioned on Slack that their prices are going to be subsidized for now. They believe that eventually other companies will start asking them to install the sensors because consumers would gradually want to buy from companies that they can trust. Our concern here is whether Ambrosus can sustainably grow and get both consumers and companies to adopt them in the long run without using any subsidies. For end consumers like you and I, we may not be willing to pay a premium, we may not care enough, or we may be too busy to check everything that we buy and consume in such detail. For existing companies, the incentive may not be great enough for them to overcome the high switching costs and the risk of disrupting their existing supply chain. And for new companies, they may be more willing to adopt Ambrosus if they are cost competitive, but these companies may still prefer a service provider that already has a track record. Ambrosus will be recording data in a dual architecture with the public Ethereum blockchain and their own custom blockchain. Using the public blockchain is good because that data cannot be deleted or manipulated, but the use of a custom private blockchain raises some concerns for us. First, there won't be much decentralization of nodes, as there's no incentive for independent parties to validate the transactions on that custom blockchain. Second, private blockchains are arguably not that much different from a traditional database. We'll still need to be dependent on the person managing that blockchain, which is Ambrosus in this case. They also have control over how much information they are going to disclose. So in that sense, this is not going to be a completely trustless and transparent system. And as Ethereum founder Vitalik once said about private blockchains, the firm running it can easily change the rules of the blockchain, revert transactions, and so on. Overall, we do like their mission because we believe they are trying to solve a genuine problem, but we do see challenges from an investment perspective. We are neutral on flipping, mainly because of their high valuation at $260 million. Bancor and Status are the other two ICOs that have raised over $100 million, and they are both delivering negative returns so far. Ambrosus is also a lot more expensive compared to Modem, even though, in our view, they are in pretty similar lines of business. But on the flip side, there's a lot of hype on their ICO at the moment, so it's possible they could still hit their hard cap of $105 million. We are negative on long-term holding because of all the concerns that I mentioned earlier. For us, a $260 million valuation is pricing this early-stage venture to or above perfection when there is no working product at the moment. The high market cap limits the upside, and investors may have to wait until 2020 or later before the fully automated supply chain solution is released. So I wanted to leave you with some final thoughts. If you visit their homepage, you'll see this long list of organizations that they say they have support and recognition from. Other ICO websites only show a couple of logos versus the 24 here, so I was curious enough to dig deeper. Here are all the ones where one of their advisors works or is associated with. These firms are providing them legal, financial, and operational support. This is the platform they use for their pre-sale. This is a student association. These are various conferences, festivals, and networking events. And finally, this is the United Nations, which I talked about earlier. On their homepage, they've also got this list of 35 news outlets, which I also went through one by one. Here's what I found. These are all news from August on their partnership with Trek. This NASDAQ article is actually a guest contribution written by their CTO. These are all news from August on their launch of a P2P market. And finally, these are all news from July on their launch and their upcoming ICO. So I don't know about you guys, but personally this raises a bit of a red flag for me because it feels a bit promotional. But I would love to hear what you think, so please leave us a comment. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please check out our website for a full report on Ambrosus. If you want to learn more about them, take a look at their website and their blog. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time, and thank you for watching.